Hey guys, Brad from Team Crimson here. Today we're going to be talking about meta-analysis, and this one is actually post uh, Champions of Asia circuit. Sorry, trying to remember the name of the set. This set introduces Grand Blue, Dimension Police, and Aquaforce. So we're going to go over what's been topping in Japan, going over some of the results and everything like that, and then I'll go down and kind of explain what, at least in my opinion, what the meta will look like. Okay, so we usually like to wait. We say this every single meta discussion that we do. We usually like to wait for till second week results. First week results are a little iffy because new players coming in playing with these clans. A lot of people tend to be trying them out, and then the other people who aren't playing the clans aren't necessarily familiar with playing against them as well. So we still take week one results into consideration, but week two is what you really want to look at, I guess. You should say so. Week one, mostly everything was the same for the most part. OTT was still dominating, and then but the weird part was D Police was just behind that, Grand Blue, and then Aquaforce, and then Kagero, Takakaze, all that stuff. But you kind of expected the new clans to do relatively well, especially considering, again, like I said, with week one, not very many people know how to play against it, how to necessarily counter the deck. Now, going into week two, it was definitely very eye-opening, I will say. So the biggest clan with the most number of tops was Grand Blue. Grand Blue had there was 13 tops in week two for a Grand Blue. The next closest deck to get for tops was Kagero with 6. That's a significant margin right there. That's absolutely insane. Did not think that Grand Blue would do. Knew Grand Blue would do relatively well, but did not think it would do that well. A lot of us here at Team Crimson, a lot of us that we've been talking to as well, all kind of thought D Police would definitely be the one to look out for. Then Grand Blue, then Aquaforce, obviously, but Aquaforce is the weaker of the three, but Aquaforce is still very, very good, despite what some people might try to tell you. So that's just kind of the results. There was Kagero with 6, D Police with 5, OTT with 4. OTT had a significant droppage. Just behind that was Aquaforce, staying relatively the same, relatively consistent. So that's pretty cool. So yeah. Anyways, let me go ahead and get into it and just kind of explain what, at least why I think this is how it is. So, we'll go down the list. So, for absolute worst right now, and I mean you can, again, this is in my opinion, so you can argue, you can have your own opinion. That's fine. I'm just going off of the results that we've seen so far. So the absolute bottom of the list is Mega Colony. Sorry, Mega Colony is it's consistent, but don't confuse consistency for power because it lacks it. It's had very few tops. In week 2 it had 1 top, and in week 1 it had 2, and we've just seen it go down and down, and then like I said, in week 2 it had one top, and the other decks had several more. So yeah, Mega Colony, surprisingly, number 10. So number 9, Nova Grappler. Unfortunately, Nova Grappler's missing some stuff. Aquaforce got all the good crap, and Nova Grappler needs a lot more support, a lot better stuff. They need to hit numbers. I mean, it's fine with Excel. You kind of do want Excel to be shut down by triggers, to be honest, just because otherwise Excel would be way too powerful of a mechanic. So having that defensive trigger go off and possibly prevent some of the Excel attacks or whatever, or make it easier to guard some of the Excel attacks, just helps out. Otherwise, it would be too busted. However, what they did was Nova Grappler. At least how I feel they were really conservative with Nova Grappler and what support they wanted to give Nova Grappler, because they made Victor like way too broken back in G era. So I feel like they were being super conservative, super careful with what they were introducing into standard. And then once they saw and were able to see what was going on with them, they fixed it with Aquaforce, which kind of sucks, but hopefully the next go around when Novas get more support, Novas will do a lot better. Going on to number 8. Number 8 will be Spike Brothers. Spike Brothers is a relatively potent deck. It is pretty consistent, and it hits really big numbers, but that's about all it can do. I know that doesn't sound it sounds kind of weird, but I mean it's true. They kind of don't do much. Yeah, that's about it. Number 7 will go to, I know a lot of people, including myself, are surprised about this one, but number 7 will have to be Tachikaze. The only reason, I'm not sure if I'd like to see clan usage results for these couple of tournaments. If clan usage for Tachikaze is dropped, it is a pretty, I wouldn't say insanely difficult deck to use, but it's not an easy deck to use either. But yeah, the number of times that it's been topping has been drastically reduced, but it still tops and it still does well. So it's definitely not within those bottom 3. But surprisingly, it has dropped significantly. I still think Tachis are great. It's a very potent deck. You should definitely be a person who knows what you're doing with the deck, knows what you're doing with the build, and knows what the goal is for that deck. But and you can do very well with it. But yeah, unfortunately, it is a little bit down there. Surprisingly, number 6, I'm putting Royal Paladin in there. I know Royal Paladin is definitely one of the weaker decks, but we have been seeing a jump. Again, for these past 2 to 3 weeks, we've been seeing a significant jump in Royal Paladin's topping, especially from where they were before. I do believe it has something to do with introducing these 3 clans. Royal Paladins just might be able to do a little bit more against these than some other decks can do, I guess. Number 5 is Aquaforce. A lot of people have been just complaining about Aquaforce because they want them to be tier 0 or something like that. But Aquaforce is a very powerful deck. Yes, it can be shut down by, just like an Excel deck kind of should be, can be shut down by a defensive trigger. But they do have some super scary abilities. Like some of the rear guards can restand themselves, and then yeah, if your opponent usually if you're on grade 2 and your opponent rides into Maelstrom and then vomits their hand onto the field, which sometimes they will do, and they've got multiple restanders, and that I can't remember the name of the grade 3 that gains plus 20k. It's freaking scary. So I don't know what the complaint was. I don't know what Aquaforce players were expecting. And then especially Naval Gate, even Naval Gate's turns. Naval Gate's turns are scary as hell. It's a very powerful deck. And it does very well against all of the other decks too. It's just, again, you do have to have a good player behind it. Number 4, Dimension Police. Number 4, this actually kind of surprised me too, because I was trying to make this list, and D-Police had a significant amount of people topping on week 1, and week 2 that dropped drastically. I've always said for a very long time that D-Police are kind of a glass cannon, and that doesn't seem to have changed too much. It does seem like they've made the deck quite a bit more consistent than it normally would have been back in the day with guard break and all that crap. But it still has some of its glass cannon components. So I do also believe that there are ways to counterplay against it a little easier than even I initially thought. Number 3 is Kagero. My boys, they're down. They took a little bit of a jump down, but Kagero is still very potent. Overlord turns, especially if I'm riding into grade 3 on grade 3 Overlord, and you're still on grade 2. The Overlord first turn can be pretty scary. Swinging for you 43 usually for with possible restand is pretty scary. And then of course there's always Waterfall and the ever annoying for some people Dragonic Gaius giving Waterfall another crit. So yeah, it's a deadly deck, especially against what we'll be getting into next. Number 2. This was hard. This was very hard, but I have to do it. I have to. Number 2, OTT. OTT, you've reigned supreme for so long. Yeah, OTT is just super powerful. Everyone knows how busted it is. We don't even need to go over it. We don't. It's super powerful. Number 1, Grand Blue. Now, the reason Grand Blue is number 1 is obviously the protect marker, stuff like that. But the thing is, Basskirk constantly has a crit. Constantly can revive stuff. And because you're not afraid of Kagero too much, because Kagero will retire your field, but it doesn't really freaking matter because you're going to bring it all back and gain massive amounts of power for doing it. It's really threatening, and it's really did not think that it would. Knew it would do well, but did not think it would do this well. The other thing too is that needs to be noted is the top 2 decks. I don't believe that these can really be argued. The top 2 deck. If you want to flip flop, if you think OTT is still better than Grand Blue, that's fine. That's your opinion. But you can't really argue that Grand Blue and OTT are the top 2 right now, and that's showcasing that there is a problem with the protect. With the whole protect imaginary gift as is, that the fact that it's that powerful and that you're getting a PG to hand, that's fine and dandy, but I think the problem that we're seeing is some of the Vanguards especially are having almost too powerful of abilities in addition to getting a PG to hand. You know, with Imperial Daughter, you know, gaining 15k plus crit, and then with Grand Blue being able to revive stuff, gain power, I believe, and then he constantly has a crit and constantly gains power. And then you've got I can't remember the Skeleton Dragon's name, whatever the hell its name is. Skeleton Dragon, we'll call it. Gains a crap ton of power. Yeah, you're seeing a problem here. So, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see what the next set does. Next set will be Shadow Paladin, Dark Regulars, Pale Moon, Murakumo. We already know some of the Murakumo stuff. I don't think it's as busted as some people are thinking it is. Yeah, we'll have to wait and see what Shadow Paladins do. We'll have to wait. I think Shadow Paladins and Dark Regulars are going to be pretty nuts, but we'll see. So, yeah, that's it. That's it, guys. That's the meta-analysis. Please comment if you have a different opinion. That's completely fine. Again, this is just my opinion, our opinion here at Team Crimson. But please comment. Please let us know what you think, what your thoughts are. Why do you think Protect is so busted as a mechanic? And then, yeah, if you're new to the channel, please like and subscribe. So we will catch you later. We'll be back at you later in the week with some more videos. Bye.